Alrighty. Let's get this party started. So, suppose I should show where we're at so far. Bunch of cool purple warpy stuff in several spots. You can probably see, yeah, the refraction of light. Hey, the wings are on. That's cool. They feel pretty sturdy. They got a little bit of shine down at the edge. I used a lacquer that I'm very happy with. Doesn't exactly fade all that well, but that's fine. It's pretty thick stuff. But it's cool. It's got this sort of olive, sometimes depending on the angle, a little bit reddish, pearlescent glow to it. So that's cool. And I found out apparently what a Grelin Earth does. And I went back and I checked it today because I was like, ooh, did I screw something up? But I didn't. That's actually how it's supposed to dry. Now, I wish I knew that before I got started because I would have, I don't know, painted the base so it wasn't black underneath. That's a little weird. But what I also did, you can just barely notice off camera, so I'm going to put that there. I dumped a little bit in here, and I want to test what some washes do to it before I actually do it to the model itself. And scoop my chair a little bit. I also noticed that this Nelac oxide has a little bit of a crisp to it as well. Not going to worry about that for now. But I'm going to try a couple washes on this just to see how it interacts. And what I'll probably do is wash that broken earth and then dry brush it. So we'll see how that goes. And then I got a lot of warp block bronze to do. All of these round sensors that are held by these guys. And we'll see how my stamina holds up. I might actually try to get a decent amount of stuff on these little buggers, these two little floaty guys. These wings are going to be a challenge because they're so tiny and they're hanging off of chains now. But we'll get it going. And let me just boop, hit that button over there. And we'll see where it takes us. I should pop this thing open. And let's just see. I have a feeling that Seraphim Sepia will probably look all right on this Agrelin Earth. And then my guess is that Xandri Dust will look good as a dry brush, but you never know till you try it. So there's my Mortarion Grime. Reikland something or other. Snakebite Leather. Well, we could try a little bit of a few things to TBH. Silicon Gray is not what I'm looking for. Did I lose my Seraphim Sepia? I doubt it. Skeleton Horde. This place is such a mess. Let me check my other desk. We'll see. See if I moved it. Oh, no, it's right in front of me. All right, so mainly testing to see how. I'll test a couple others as well, just to see how this does overall on there. And obviously this is painted on just regular plastic, so it is going to come up. I don't mind that color. It's a very good first contender. Scooch this stuff over here. I need to plan a bigger space to do this stuff. I do have plans for a bigger space. I don't know if it's going to fit in this house, but I'm pretty cramped right now. All right. In other news, I successfully shipped a mug with the logo on it to Brazil. So that's pretty cool. My buddy Dan sent me a picture. Arrived in one piece and looked like how I designed it. All right, so snakebite leather, a bit dark. I'm leaving that one out. We're done with that. We don't need to try Berserker Bloodshade. Could snakebite leather and skeleton horde are both contrasts, which are a bit thicker. And I may need a contrast just so I can sort of impede some of that black. Oh, that might be fun. You're a contender. You get to stick around. I think I had one more that I wanted to try. Which one was you? And I can tell you it's not Magos purple. It was probably Mortarion Grime is what I would guess. I would want to try here too. I gotta clean this place up. There we go, Mortarion Grime. Oh yeah, this stuff is just going all over the place. It does not stick there. You know, I think I'm gonna go with Mortarion Grime. I like how that one looks, and it is going to get dry brushed after, so I should just hop right to this, and maybe as I work on other stuff, it will dry enough. And I'm really worried about that sticking. I'm probably gonna have to varnish that afterwards. I gotta be super gentle. Maybe if this gets on there quick enough, it'll dry enough that I can dry brush it tonight. If not, so be it. Oh yeah, that looks good on there. I'm just gonna coat my way around it and not hit that guy again. Oh, it's coming up. It is coming up. So you'll note that my base was not primed, and I've never primed a base before putting ground texture on it. And I may be paying the ultimate price for that. So I'm going to very gently get this around there, but I have a funky feeling that I'm going to do a bunch of stuff, and then I'm going to have to put, I did it again. I'm going to have to hit this guy. I'm a little distracted. With a coat of something so that this agrolin earth stuff will actually stick, because it is not sticking at all straight to the plastic, which is a bit sub bueno. I should probably watch a video somewhere on how people choose to apply it also, just because I had no idea what it was going to do, and it was thick but runny, soupy, and kind of plasticky. And I may have just like either thrown too much on there or not known of some step I should have tried. So this is definitely an educational moment. All right, so this is just being super gentle. I don't want to scrape all this stuff up. There's a chance I can get it to stick with some spray varnish. If that's possible. I mean, optimally, I think I would probably do it without varnishing the entire model. I don't know, I probably should varnish the model. The thing I worry about with varnish is that these chains are all bendy, and I'm wondering if the varnish will just crack. So many things to consider with a complicated model like this. But yeah, this stuff really does not stick straight to plastic. So I've got some thinking to do. But I do like this color. I have a feeling that when the dry brush does come out, it's going to flick some chips off of this. And because it's just black underneath, I'm going to have to solve for that. But we shall see. I'm sure I can think my way through it. But I'm guessing this base is getting another pass. I do love how this stuff looks, though. Like, all that cracked desert look is really awesome. But was totally unexpected. And now I gotta cope with it. I definitely just didn't prep the thing enough for it. Anyway, that is now soaking in. So leave that, change my brush up a little bit, move on to some happy bronze. I mean, I wonder if I just need to go over that base with something else. I need to move some of this glop around. There we go. Maybe a little varnish or something just to get everything to stick. But you can already see that there's chips popping up on it. You win some, you lose some. It is recoverable. Next, I'm going to move into the old Warplock bronze phase. I'm running out of this too. It's a good sign, from some guy who just got started, who has used Warplock bronze on practically every model he's painted. It's kind of a neat little badge of honor to be running low on some stuff. I need a brush of like medium size. Don't want to use that one again. This one's a little jacked up, but it'll do. Let's see, am I missing any lighting? I don't think so. All right, so step by step, I'm just going to get a decent glop of this onto my wet palette. It is pretty thick, thick stuff. Give that brush a decent wash. Thick stuff. All right, we will get right down to business. So I'm hitting all these sensors, and any of the ones that have extra details on them, I'll probably hit them with something a little bit lighter, like this fly. But those will also be metallics. So I'm just going to hit the entire orb of the sensor in the first pass with this Warplock bronze, and then I'll worry about lightening it up with something else. Painful as it may be that I dry brush these after the bronze dries with something lighter. Some other metallic that isn't quite as shady. But yeah, this is starting to get into that. The wobbliness of these things is starting to become a little bit of a pain. So if you are thinking about painting this model, it might have been a good idea to paint these guys before attaching them. Live and learn, says I. Oh yeah, getting through there and threading that needle, that is a pain. Like, I am almost tempted to just snip that guy off of there and glue him back on later, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to live with the consequences of my actions and have the shakiness of my hands be magnified. Get a little wetter there so that it sort of just fills in on its own. Yeah, those are terrible. No lie there. But we are just going to keep powering through this thing. Progress sort of builds on itself. And this is sort of like physical training and how to be gentle. Like one of those in boxing, that sort of speed bag thing that's between two long rubber bands. Like, you learn a lot of control that way. That's basically what I'm doing. The thing I'm painting is not locked in any way, shape, or form, and it's doing its best to be a pain. Alrighty. So thankfully, because this one doesn't have a little lord nurgling supplicant attached to it, it's a lot more straightforward. Much more straightforward. Get a little bit more water on here to loosen it up, get some control. And a little bit of water goes a long way when you've got little gaps to fill in, not a lot of room for the brush. You can just sort of dab into certain areas and let the liquid carry the pigment and all the metally bits a little further. The other thing that I'm realizing, this is always a learning process as I go, is that all these extra bits that are separate, they have cloth on top, which I'd want to prime white like I did the rest of the model. But from the chain down, I probably should have just given them a schwitz of black. Because black under metallics is really easy to work with. White under metallics gives you a lot of creepy spots to go back and fix and fix and fix again. I'm not going to sweat it, but if I ever paint another model that's got these sort of hanging things, paint them separately, then glue them on. I did for a lot of stuff. But these, I was like, they have white cloth on them. Maybe I'll just prime them and go. But yeah, next time, black primer on the metallics would be good. Alrighty. So then, I think basically when I get these little lords and these orbs done, I've at least got paint on the entire model, which is something to celebrate because it has been a while. This is episode 10. Current wagers are guessing episode 14 is when I'll finally be comfortable enough to say that this is done. 14, 14th Legion, derived from 7, in Nurgle's honor. Oh yeah, you were a pain to get to, buddy. I see a weird spot that I didn't get before, and it's gonna, guess what, you're browns now. Oh, that's so hard to get to. Oh, that is a doozy of a... I just smushed that a little too far. Now we're going to... How was I? There we go. A little bit of repair. It's passable. I do have to go back over almost the entirety of this model. Not like crazy, but there's absolutely just spots that need to be touched up. It is complex. I am not great at this, but the model's important to me. So taking a little bit of extra care and doing cleanup, it's gonna happen. This guy is like a centerpiece, and my lack of skill should not determine the final product. Like there's absolutely little spots. There's one on his leg where like just some metallic hit it while I was trying to thread the needle. And those would be a little bit of a pain to go back and do. But it'll be fulfilling to get them. I just need to stay out of that loop of like, you correct one mistake, make another foible in the process, move on to the next one, go back and forth a ton of times. Use a super tiny brush when I fix my stuff. Be done with it in one pass. One of the other things I think I'm going to try to do tonight is finally get a black wash on all the lead belcher. Let's see if I can turn that so both of us can see what I'm doing. Just threading the needle in here. When you're holding the brush this far choked down from the front, you got to be really careful because it's very little hand movement and the thing goes, the tip itself goes flying. And the opportunity to bonk a piece of the model, send the tip flying, is pretty high. Pretty high. I don't know how anyone paints this model whole. The video I saw, there's like no sub-assembly done. I was like, man, with the exception of the wings. I was like, you serious? I doubt it. I doubt it. But then I remember a lot of people have far less shakiness in their hands than I do, and far more patience. And I think they also primed their model not in white, but in Death Guard green, which is a little bit more forgiving in some spots. It's mostly all in there. Alrighty. Nubbin on. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but I have to hold it this way. Boop. Yep, that's why. Size nubbin, which is a little skull-shaped thing, which is pretty cool. Yeah, this guy's not lacking for nice details. Thank you for not falling off the base, my good man. We're on the same team here, Mortarion. As much as I've dissed your somewhat childish emo personality in the past, part of my army now. I'll get used to you, you'll get used to me. This will be challenging right here because it's right up against his cloak. I'm just going to go nice and slow. I'm not going to lift it off of there. I'm just going to get as far back as I can. And there'll be a little spot on the back that is lead belcher. But someone would have to literally break this piece off to find it. And if they do that, I'm not going to really worry about their opinion of the paint job. Super gentle. The main thing is just don't touch the cloth. Spent far too much time on that to undo all that progress. You have to take everything with a grain of salt, weigh how much risk versus how much reward any particular spot's going to be. I'm not afraid to take risks as long as there's just a decent chance of reward and that reward is good enough. I mean, frankly, having not used that shifty paint stuff before on those edges, like there's a very high likelihood that I would just wipe the paint off, which would have been like, that would have been bad. Because there's like plenty of layers and techniques going into those wings. That would have been super sad making if I had just yoinked them. But it was worth it. I knew that if I had done that, then I was just going to get more experience with dry brushing and layering and all that good stuff. There is something about the commitment to a large model with a lot of detail in it that you're like, well, if I have to go back and spend a couple hours fixing something, it's not as, I don't know, it's good and it's bad. You're like, well, I'm already spending a pile of hours on this thing. So what's a couple more? In for a penny, in for a pound, as I often say. At the same time, you're like, at some point I would like to be done with this guy. But I'm not there yet. Not there yet. And I'm making good time. My only real time constraint is that I do want to do up an orc for October. But I will be done with Mortarion by then. I can also take a break from Mortarion if I have to. And I have time off coming. Starting in about a week. So I may do some wide variety. I have a ton of Plague Marines I still got to make to get this. I keep saying Mortarion's the end of this army getting to 2,000 points, but I do have a lot of Plague Marines that I gotta finish up. So knocking some of those out will be a lot of fun. I like Plague Marines a bunch. They're each special in their own little way, depending on how you put them together. My army requires them. I didn't really want to hit that much, but I did. And I'm coping. I also got when I went into when I was casing the store out that I wanted to find out if I could go play Warhammer at. I picked up what was it called? The little fly guy, Fetid Bloat Drone. I think that's what it's called. I picked one of them up, so I got that to paint too. Not as adorable as the Myphitic Blight Hauler, but still kind of adorable. It's cute in its own little way. I think these guys are definitely getting dry brushed. It's happening. Here we go. Not sure why my glasses keep slipping. Sweating under the lights and the pressure. crank my hand around. It is something for a new painter to recognize that, like, with a model this big and this complicated, there's very few handholds, and I'm extremely scared of putting this guy. I have a big one of those stand things that you hold on to, a handle. I think it's called a handle. It would make sense if it was. And I'm just afraid that I'll put him down on it, and it'll be so top heavy that it'll just go flying at some point, and then I'll be spending a whole session gluing it back together. All right, there's one more little dingleberry guy right there. Get some more paint. Guys are literally carrying, I think these are grenades. Like, some of these are sensors, some of these are absolutely grenades, just hanging off. They've got pins in them. I think they're grenades. Not sure I'd trust these little guys with my grenades, but I guess if you're Mortarion and you literally just huff paint all day to prove how tough you are, probably not too worried about his own gas grenades. Alrighty. Saga continues. I think what I'm going to do for these nerdling guys is hit them with Bugman's Glow on the skin. I think I'm going to do their little cloak things red, because there's not a lot of it. And I'm a little, my camera's actually jamming up. Yeah, it looks like my connection's pretty garbage. Hopefully the audio's coming through. This whole stream might be a stinker, but I'm going to try to get them a nice fleshy color with Bugman's, a little bit of red cloak. There's not a ton of cloak to be had, so I'm not worried that it's going to really offset the color scheme of this whole thing too much. I don't think I want to try to replicate their cloaks to be like Mortarion's. It's a bit much. I'm going to try with the wings a little bit. I don't want them to just be parodies. All right, now we got to thread the needle. Glasses up. Super long get in there. Got to be really careful because it's right up against this nice colorful stuff and right up against that guy's skin. All right, just get in this divot. I don't know why this is relaxing to me, because it's really unnerving at the same time. There we go. There we go. All right, give this guy a spin, and it looks like he's got one more orb over there for me. Oh, he's got a little bell. I'll hit his bell. Ding ding. Nice Warplock bronze bell. If I remember correctly from when I was casing this guy out earlier, there's probably a couple little sensors sticking out of these guys' bellies. Yep, there's one right there. Right in front of me. Not going to worry too much about this one being perfectly round, because I got to get up against that. It's coming out of his flesh, so not to be too wily with it, but I do got to get this sensor back here. Alrighty. How do I get in there? Gently is the answer to that. That's how I get in here. And I think I need to warp that thing up a little bit more. That'll be in a subsequent pass. Sorry, you can't really see what I'm doing here, but not sure there's an effective way for me to show you. All those spikes and pull that out of there. Yeah, see, you can see I hit that with some silver right there. That will be a test of my ability to clean stuff up. Alrighty. know what? Go a little further with this bronze here. There's a rounded section. Oh yeah, you're gonna be a pain, aren't you? How do we get in there? I feel like I need a brush that actually intentionally has a hook on it. I don't know if they make those. But one that like you bang up your brushes enough and eventually the end has a hook, like an intentional like Arr! Or you could just build your stuff in parts. Alrighty, so that was exciting. By exciting, I mean distressing. I'm going to move back to something that is a little bit easier to control. I got those sensors done, which is good, and they are annoying because they move all over the place while you're just trying to get some work done. I think I am going to... Oh yeah, that stone is just coming up. I'm going to wash all these chains. And just keep it moving. Get me a brush that's good for washing. Yeah, it's in pretty good shape. There we go. We don't want those chains to be too shiny. And I don't have to go crazy with this stuff on them, but just enough. I want them to keep some shine. I'm not going full typhus corrosion on these bad boys. Just take it down a notch so they don't look like happy chains. I did a bunch of this on the back of my Night Tyrant, and it just makes all the difference in the world. It looks like it's, you know, machine shoppy, not perfectly. You know what? While I'm here with a light layer of black, I'm going to hit that icon. I'm going to hit it with other stuff later, but just because I have a little bit of black on the brush, I'll just get into those divots and make my life easier in a subsequent step. Yeesh. This model is quite the commitment. It's going to be so funny. The first time I take them out on a table, just get them butchered and be like, oh my God, I spent like 15 hours. See, I'm pretty conservative at this point. I've done the math in a bit. Pretty sure it's going to be more than 15 hours. 15 hours live. Metal, metal, metal. All right, give this a turn. Wipe some of that excess off of my thumb. Make sure my hands aren't dirty as I keep turning this model over. Super amount of care has got to be taken where you put your hands on this guy when stuff is still even a tiny bit damp. Alrighty, that chain is looking not done. There we go. Oh, I got some grenades in there too. I gotta remember when I turn this thing all the way around. There we go. Straight down the pipe, buddy. Thankfully, this is a wash pass. Now that that chain is attached to the terrain, to the base, because I would not have to paint with that thing unable to move. All right, I'm gonna hit this grenade now because I see it. And I know later I'm just gonna be like, oh, I forgot the grenade. There you go, nice and grimy. These guys again. Little extra layer, this little Vox thing. him because I didn't get him so good the first time. There you go. Now you're looking grimy. I just need to get this model up to the point that everything's got paint. And then I can start thinking much more surgically about tiny little details and fixes and all that good stuff. Get my primary bit of painting done. Get all my washes on. Find a way to hold this guy without breaking him. Basically get him to the point where I wouldn't feel terrible about putting him on a table. Then the real fun can begin. The microscopic look at little bits, parts, and pieces. He's got a bunch of like, I don't know if they're buboes or zits or whatever on his wings. Like I want to hit those with something. That's probably going to be Nurgle's rot. Maybe with some yellow underneath it. I might actually do that tonight. That sounds like fun. Nurgle's rot's always a good time. Oh, I got his gun. This doesn't need a ton. Does not need a ton. I've already got some Mortarion grime. I've got the plasma-ish stuff on the gun to do as well. Yeah, so there's just a never-ending amount of tasks on this guy, which is good. He's expensive, but dollars to donuts, entertainment time, task work time. It's pretty good. My camera's suffering. I'm pretty sure y'all can't even really hear me. Still here. Still going. All right. Now it's time to be super careful again. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's my connection or my camera, but it is not happy right now. All right. Let's get through this. All right, checking that out. What's next? What next, says you? I don't even remember what I used up top there, but we're going to try Berserker Bloodshade just as an opening pass on these little baby wings. Because I don't know, I think it'll look nice. It'll harken back to what's up there. I want to make sure that I thin it a little bit. I don't want to go crazy. Maybe that's too thin. That's nice. This is just an opening salvo to get some texture going on these wings. It's not intended to be anything sort of final. I just need to get a little bit of line work around those veins. I think this will be distinct enough to get the job done. I don't want a bunch of pooling. Not very comfortable with that. You can already see. So you can already see on that wing that like those little veins are already starting to pop up, which is good. That's exactly what I want. Doesn't need a lot of shade. Just, I mean, I haven't even re-dampened this brush. It's just what's already on there getting pushed around. But I need this to go through its entire process of like getting into those little divots and drying and curing before I hit it with anything else. I think it's probably going to get Gilliman flesh. And I think that's what I did up top there. And I'll hit this one too. There we go. And it'll get another wash afterwards. But I want to make sure that underneath here. Hey, what's up, man? My connection's been pretty weird tonight, so if it's faltering, just let me know. It's getting there, buddy. It is getting there. It's good to see you, man. Yeah, I'm moving forward onto tinier and tinier little bits. Now, the base I got to figure out because I use this crazy stuff called, it's not that crazy, but it's called Agrelin Earth, and it does this natural breakup thing. I didn't know what it did, and I didn't paint the base underneath, so there's chips coming off of it. I imagine that's going to take another pass, but it looks really dope. Like, it's absolutely like broken earth. So we'll see. I hit it with a wash. I'm going to try. It's probably dry enough to dry brush, but I think I'm going to have to go paste over it somehow. I do have some liquid stuff that's supposed to be like clear water. I could try brushing over that. That's a possibility. But it looks neat. It just doesn't look as good directly over the plastic. But yeah, the wings are looking pretty rad. You can see there's a shine to them at the edge. See if I can angle it the right way for the light to hit it. It's probably easier from this side. Like that whole bottom edge has got a nice, crazy, shifty shine to it. There's a bunch of warp coming out of his back. It's not too shabby. I should probably use more of this black wash on those rocks down there. Because I can, and I'm here. I've got stuff to... Got the washout. So they basically just had, I think it was Mechanicum Standard Gray, which is quickly becoming one of my new favorite paints, on the rocks. And now they just need a little bit of, some wash. Make them happy. Just getting them some wash. And then I'll give them some highlights or dry brush them. But these rocks aren't supposed to stand out like crazy. They've got some amount of muck on them, which will just be like some bonus work that I do. But just give them a bit of a wash so that they're not naked before I do all my other stuff. There we go. And I should hit that skull with some Seraphim Sepia while I'm in here. I do not want to go all out crazy on the rock sculpture underneath and it all detract away from where someone's eyes should be, which is that model. Model on top. Oh, where to grab him. I feel really weird grabbing him by the wings, so I'm not going to do that. It's like Jenga, sort of. I'm running out of like places that I can grab this thing, just like in Jenga when you're like, I'm not sure I ever want to touch that one block again. I'm absolutely there with some of the handholds I'm trying to get to work on this thing. Dry brushing in here is going to be awesome. By awesome, I mean it'll look cool, but it's as a job, it's going to stink. There we go. And super careful not to hit that cloth. It wouldn't be super detrimental. Nice. Sweet, man. Wouldn't be super detrimental because it's black, so at least I wouldn't be like, oops, I hit this with like sepia. Um, but I'm trying. I put a lot of work into that cloth. Don't want to really mess with it. There we go. That was kind of meta. Having someone show up while they're still streaming. I dig it. You're a good guy, Daniel Morey. Should show up on their stream. Huh? Super meta. Watch the internet break as we stream each other's stream while streaming streams. Across the streams. All right, that's starting to get brushly looking. All right, that is enough messing with that for now. All right, give this a wash. Take a sip of tea. Think about what I've done so far. Think about where I'm going. There we go. Chillax a bit. Yeah, this guy's come a long way. He's come a very, very long way. I think I lied. I think I might just do their cloaks purple. I don't know. I think like red could look neat. They're sort of mimicking him so much. Hmm. And they are down by like the base of the model where the rest of the purple is. Hmm. Decisions. Let's again go back to this thick brush. Well, let's find out on one of them. Nothing says progress like progress. I mean, I really do like how it looks on the cloak itself. The rest of these guys are going to get a pretty hefty amount of Bugman's glow. Yeah, we are definitely at the point where I can't actually tell what the details are on this little guy. Oh yeah, that guy just needs Bugman's. Okay, he'll get that over him. This guy's got actually a cloak. Yeah, I screwed that up. That's fine. The Bugmans will cover this up like nobody's business. You have little cloaks. You are going to get Magos purple. You're probably getting more than one coat, buddy. Bugmans will carry the rest. They're so cherubic. Really quite awesome. Just some gentle dabs of paint. Pivot around all of this other neat stuff that I don't want to hit. Check every angle on this guy. All right, my warp lock is officially dry enough where I'm not worried about wiping it all over the place. Man, these guys make no sense. These guys are so weird. It's like you're born out of chaos. There we go. Yeah, you're gonna need two coats. That's okay. You deserve it, buddy. You deserve it. Just scooch the brush in, and it's a contrast paint, so it will flow. You just sort of hold your brush in a spot, it'll just keep moving around. Little butt. He's got a little mug with him. Of course, all my details have details. I missed a spot with Warp Lock Bronze, but that's okay. I'll get you later, buddy. So this guy is cloaked. This didn't look like it. I think his cloak is like open backed. I think he's like a nudist or a streaker or something. Maybe it's just a hood. I really can't tell what's up with you, buddy. You're a very special, chosen little lord of Nurgle. All right, well, that's at least a pass on him. That's good. This guy is a little bit more discreet, and he was a lot clearer even when I was putting the model together. He's got these nice long flaps. He's got a hood. I thought I broke one of his horns off at one point, but he absolutely only has one horn. I double checked. I was like, no. I will have to even go back after all of this and touch this guy up quite a bit. This little dude, the prime didn't really stick to him well, and I had a bunch of snips to make on him. And a little sanding to do, but at least behind all that, you'll have some color that isn't just pure white. I can only hit this guy with so many passes of different things. Having some purple, and yeah, that purple looks dope. I don't know what I was worried about. It's cool. Get him some Bugmans soon when this dries. That'll look cool. He's got a tentacle for the leg. What a nice guy. What a nice guy. Alright. Let's break out the Gilliman. Keep working on these wings. Fitting that I use Gilliman flesh on Mortarion and his buddy's wings. Oh, but I gotta find it. I gotta find it. I gotta find it. Gilliman flesh. Yeah. I like this. This color's good. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. Yeah. It always looks worse. It looks very, very much darker before you put it on. And if you lay it on too heavy, then it's obviously going to go nuts. With Gilliman flesh on these wings, I don't think I need to take as many steps as I did with the big boy wings. I think, in theory, because these are nice and tiny, that I should just be able to get in there with a dry brush and get the, whatever green it was. Don't remember. It's here somewhere. Nurgling flesh. You just dry brush the bottoms and get a decent gradient going. Oh, Gilliman flesh, you are fun. Now I just gotta hit this from every possible angle. Don't want to go back and do these wings again. They are very prone to error. There we go. Obviously, tough camera work here, folks. Bear with me. In order for me to see it and you to see it at the same time. I've said this several times over the last few days. I'm like, man, do I need a GoPro so you can just see exactly what I'm looking at? But I think I'll probably get over that once I'm done with Mortarion, because when I do Plague Marines, it's only my ineptitude that messes with the camera angles. It's not like an actual challenge. It's just that I get excited when I'm working on it. But with this stuff, man, it is hard. It's hard for me to see what's going on. Try that brush off a little bit. That is a lot of Gilliman flesh. Then I can just pick it up with the brush, hit the other side of this guy. Don't want it to clump up too much. There we go. And not unlike a wash, it'll hug the sides of these veins, but it was good that I actually got a wash on there underneath. It's definitely making a difference in terms of how legible the veins are. We want them to be legible. And it's okay if I hit the body of the model a little bit. Because Bugman's is a base. It'll go right over it. And they're actually relatively close. I mean, not super close. Bugman's is pretty bright, but they're close enough where I'm not too worried about it being an issue. All right, dry this brush off a little bit. Scoop a little bit more of this up. Don't want it to be too crazy. Alrighty. Alrighty. Man, there's very, very little that is not painted at least once on this model. And I am thankful for that. All right, I'm going to grab my other brush back, hit this section of the scythe that still needs some Warblock bronze. Yeah, now it feels like I've got a punch list of stuff I'm doing. That feels good. That is Abaddon Black. You better hold your horses, buddy. You do not want to throw that on there. That's my Warblock Bronze. Now the part I need to hit, both sides of that sensor there. I should probably hit this guy with some water because he's suffering. There you go. Smooth him out. I should have cleaned him up a little bit better before I got started. Or before I finished with him doing the bronze. It's thick, goopy stuff. You gotta be a little more careful with your brushes when you use metallics. They are just, they're thick. Quite thick. I'm gonna hit the sensor, everything that's connecting it, everything that isn't the actual blade section itself. A little more water here. So I'm going into one of these crevasses. I can just sort of take the thicker paint with a little bit of water and just thin it out so it moves all over the place in there. It gets in there, and that way it'll just get in there, it'll do its thing, it'll cure. It'll look better tomorrow. I promise. Get these spikes. Very careful around that warpy stuff that I did. Do not want to push the undo button on that. Hit it? I didn't hit it. Good job, me. So we're just being super careful. When I flip this thing around and have to get really close to that warpy stuff, I'm going to be exceedingly ginger about it. Already being nice and slow and trying to be as steady as I can. The other side is where things are going to get out of hand. And I've said it several times. I'm not sure I ever want to prime anything in white ever again. I think that's for people that are like, I don't know, masochists, sadomasochists. Everything is revealed. I mean, I guess it's excellent practice for just how completionist you are on this stuff. But it is revealing every little tiny brushstroke that I was like off by a little bit and didn't get coverage, or I thought I had enough paint on there and I really didn't. And doing this stuff at the end of a long day when your eyes are all jacked up, that white primer, no forgiveness. Yeah, and that's why I'm being careful. I'm just making sure that I'm being very cognizant, even if I don't have the skill. I'm going to make sure that I'm watching this thing close enough that if I do touch something else, I can address it quickly and at best calmly. Frantically might be an okay option. I don't want to be too frantic. There you go. Yeah, it's just a little tap, the wrong stuff, but that's okay. Oh, I wish I knew how to handle this guy. There we go. Right in there. This whole thing is going to get Warplock Bronze. And we'll get in here and dry brush it with something a little bit lighter. Subsequent step. But I just love how dark that stuff is. All right, now, gentle reminder to turn your model 8 different directions to Sunday. Make sure you're hitting all the angles. I am foreseeing a spot on here that's going to be quite the challenge for me to paint in a minute. Some of it is poor planning, some of it is poor skill. But where all this warpy stuff hits, I really should have gotten this part knocked out before I glued that thing on there the other night. It is nothing but dread and doom, and I think I'm going to come up short. I think I'm going to have to. I'm just going to have to cope with it. Gentle. All right, I can see more from this angle, but there's definitely going to be a couple brush strokes that are no bueno. I don't care if it's perfect, but I want to do the best I can. And that is scary stuff in there. So what I'm going to do is wet the brush down a little bit more than I normally would with a metallic. And I'm going to load the thing up, not with too much. And this will be almost impossible for you to see. But I'm no longer using brush strokes. I'm literally just tapping the edge of the brush as shaky hands surgically as I can to a couple of spots so that the liquid just sort of does a little bit of movement, a little bit of a jiggle, gets into the spots that I can't really do a brush stroke. Just dabbing. It's like stippling, but just extremely wet paint. And I'm doing that right after I did a couple other brush strokes near it, because as I sort of get in there like I'm tattoo gunning the thing, there's still wet paint around it. And it'll all kind of just move and jiggle a bit. And it does work. When you have to get into a precarious spot, it can be done. So, a little bit more detail up here that I need to sort of re-clean up. That's okay. I think I was a little bit, I don't want to say confused, conflicted is probably a better term of what exactly I was going to do up on this headpiece. Now that I've done a couple things, I can sort of see where I hadn't been resolute on what I was doing. Once again, with some pretty wet stuff, just a couple little dabs up near that edge. And it's pretty weak, but so am I. Those wings looking properly veiny, pretty gnarly looking. They'll be too wet tonight to add an additional dry brush pass to. But it looks like it's mostly just Bugman's flesh that I got left here. We'll grab the Seraphim Sepia. There's the skull on the base. I just need to dab with a little bit of it. And I'm going to hit those horns on those guys. And then I'll go with Bugman's. And we will be in really, really darn good shape. I think the only truly challenging thing I've got to do is figure out what's up with this base. And I will dry brush it just to see. It's already jacked up. It's already a mess. If it's already a mess, I can experiment with it. You know, take a loss and at least get some information back from it. But I'm pretty sure I might have to actually just scrape all that off of there, because I really did not know what it was going to do. And I was quite surprised this morning when I got up, saw that it was all cracked, thought I screwed something up, and then actually looked up what that stuff did, and was like, no, I crack all up. Like, that's my job. But I didn't expect to see all that plastic coming through the way it is right now. That was not part of the plan at all. All right, so there's my Seraphim Sepia. That's in good shape. Almost knocked the pot over. That's no bueno. I'm going to switch down, give us a little bit more cleaning love. Switch down to a smaller brush, because this is where things will get spicy. Where's my tiny guy? Are you hiding? You should hide from me, because I'm a dangerous man with some money in my hand. Money in my pocket? I don't remember. All right, Bugman's Glow for the fleshy parts of these little flying dudes. Take a breath. No rush. I hope that's not the last of my tea. It's not. It's close. Believe it or not, my monotone droning It does take a lot out of my voice at the end of the day. And I yap all day too. That's what I do. So looking realistically at this, after tonight, I have like one more pass on the warpy sort of cotton candy looking stuff up top and in a couple other spots. Everything will have one pass of paint, which is good. There'll still be plenty that needs some washing, but those will probably be smaller bits, like the flesh that I'm about to paint. If you don't wash it, it looks exceeding. Oh, these guys are like attached to each other. It's adorable. It looks exceedingly flat. Those guys do not look like fun. They look like they're made out of not Play-Doh, stuff you used to press on comics. Silly putty. They look like silly putty, which is kind of okay, but you want some texture on them. So there'll be little spots that I need to dab with washes, and there'll be a lot of stuff that I need to dry brush. But then after that, I think I'm only going to be looking at like repairs, and I'll probably do a lot of the repairs before I get to that point. All right, well, one more sip, and we will move on to these little lords, these nurglings. And yes, the reason I have some of those base painted is because I'm probably going to add a bunch more to a bunch of stuff. Because nurglings are fun, they're comic relief, they're adorable, and I'm not sure. I mean, I wouldn't call them kawaii. Maybe I would. But I'm not sure what other faction has like little mascots. I don't think any of them do. I don't think the lion has like little cats going around. I don't think corn has. I don't know. It warrants some research because, man, I actually don't know. But it would be neat. But I love the fact that there's all these little pesky nurglings. Just that, like, Nurgle just sends through. Like, you gonna do my bidding? Don't take it too serious. You gotta hang with my boys. Against normal people, at least in the Lords of Silence, like those guys do work. Like, they kill folks. Alright, so I am being pretty careful now that we're dipping into this territory. I got this is a 4/0 brush, so it's pretty tiny. It's probably tinier than I need, but I'm respecting the fact that it's been a long day. I've done a bunch of work around this spot. I don't want any surprises. And if it takes a little longer to do, that's fine by me. Is that his foot? That is his foot. You're getting some bugmans. I'm switching back and forth between thicker paint and really thinning it out. The reason for that is based on like the coverage and texture of what I'm trying to paint. So like his fingers have a lot of, so I'm going to use a dab of the stuff that I watered down, and maybe it takes a couple passes to get in there in all those spots, but I want that white to go away. And then in spots where, no, this is not a good example. I'll show you one in a second. Zoop, right near that horn. Maybe I'll see one specially pop up when I turn it around. Yeah, so in a spot where like, yeah, that's actually not his cloak. That's probably, you can't see any of that crap. Let's see, if I hold it like that, you can see that little white dude in there. I sort of splashed over a little bit with that Magos purple. Now I need to get over that because his cloak wraps around his side, and I couldn't really tell that while I got started until some of that contrast got on there. So now I'm using thicker to go over that. There we go. It should have enough pigment where it's not going to look purple anymore. Basically, thick stuff to repair your errors, thin stuff. There's a lot of crevices and such. least that's how I'm doing it. It makes sense to me. You got a little butt. You guys are so comical. I'm going to keep whining about how difficult it is to actually handle this model. Actually work with him, not unlike Mortarion himself. Kind of a pain. Right, a little dab of the thick stuff. You can just sort of shift back and forth. Repair it with thicker stuff so that it doesn't soak through when it cures. Get good coverage. Just take your time. I always struggle with rushing. I get anxious. I get excited. And I'm like, oh, I want to do more. I want to do more. I want to do more. And they go too fast on something. And then it's like, sometimes you got to go slow to go fast. That is barely in my hands right now. All right. And I got to get under his belly a little bit, grab a little bit more water. This is absolutely going to be one of those weird cases I was just talking about where I just get in there and surgically dab a bit. Let the paint and the water just sort of work their way around what I'm doing. I can't get in there and fix things with a Q-tip even if I'd wanted to. Just get in there and just like poke the paint around a little bit. Don't go crazy. Don't freak out. Just let it sort of smear its way around a little bit. All right, that's one of them down. Man, you don't make any sense, model. At least this little guy. I can't really tell. It's funny because when it's primed, I often can't tell some of the details. Eye's not that good. I don't know how other people do it. I don't know if they stare at finished models all the time. But at certain points, I've actually put a wash down first. Obviously, this doesn't really work on black. Maybe it does with like a different color wash, but I'll put a wash down so that the texture, the physical texture of the model pops out more before I start painting it, because some details I just can't see. I found that helpful in some spots. This is an arm, and this guy, I got to remember, moves around like crazy. I'll wet this up a little bit and do another tactical insertion of glop. Sort of tattoo needle method. Man, is it really not respecting at this point. Oh, buddy, you're such a pain. There you go. It really doesn't want to get in there. No, that's life. Is that cloak? No, that is his tentacle leg. Things you end up saying out loud once you've embraced Nurgle. Is that a cloak or a tentacle leg? A little bit of the thick stuff on top. I saw a really awesome AdMech model on Instagram today, and I didn't even know who the guy was. I think it was an older. By guy, I mean the actual model it was of. I'm not very familiar with like named characters. This is big dude. It was a really nice touch. He had this tiny little info screen. I forget what they call them, but data slate thing in front of him, and it had a blue screen of death on it, super tiny. And I was like, man, it would be really cool to be that steady-handed, tiny little screen to be able to put in that kind of joke. I thought it was awesome. I was shocked that no one else commented on it. All right. Nice fleshy tentacle. So for that tentacle, when I eventually wash this guy, I'll probably wash the tentacle in something a little different, or I'll go over it in like Magos purple as well. Now that it's got this base, we'll see. I always try to treat tentacles different than flesh so that they stick out a little bit. A little footy. Get 2 feet. Little cherubic feet. This guy's adorable. Good little guy. You paint your butt. I can't tell what that is. I think it's cloth. Maybe. No, it's not. Let's get in there with some more skin. Oh, big stretch. Big stretch. I think the next 20 models I do are going to get primed in black. This is ridiculous. All right, time to clean this brush a little bit. He's tiny. I want him to last for a while. So many technical difficulties. All right, let's see if there's a way I can get in there. Everybody can play along. Yeah, there we go. Just get right in between those wings. Just barely move back and forth. Floss this area a little bit. It's important to eventually get a sense of what your steps going forward are going to be. And I know that I'm going to hit this cloak with a little bit Magos purple again, second pass, like it's dark down here. So I don't have to be, I need to be surgical, but I don't have to be 100% spot on with where the flesh part meets the cloak. Both the flesh is going to get something red, like maybe burgundy. The cloak is going to get its own second pass, and where those washes meet up with each other, all sins will be forgiven, everything will be healed. It'll be a good time. All right. Till then, though, I got some crap to get in here. There we go. Good work. You know what? I don't like you, white piece. I think you're a piece of cloth that I don't care about, and I think you're going to stand out more if I just turn you into flesh. In this interpretive dance of what this model means. There we go. And once again, I'm going to wet this up a little bit, get a decent amount of water on the end, and just for this little loop, I'm just going to dab it in there, and then I'll turn it around, dab it in there from the other side, and just let the liquid do the walking. So you can see there's still some white in there. That's the inside of the cloak. Kind of missed that in the first pass. There's the back of the cloak. Missed that in the first pass, but it's getting another pass of Magos purple. It's probably getting it very soon. That guy's all fleshed up. That guy's fleshed up. This guy's last. And you can see, I hit it with Gilman flesh. I actually missed the top of that. Never ending 2 steps forward, 1 step back process of this model. Getting my money's worth. All right, so once again, Bugman's Glow. Thin it out a little bit. Hit this last flying nurgling guy. He's got a really weird face. I mean, they all have really weird faces, but extraordinarily weird. And he's got a crazy long tongue. So I'll probably hit that with a different wash. What a weirdo. Yeah, I can't tell what's up with this guy. What his dealie is. His arms are very clear. I just hit that grenade. Boof. Like through 80% of this model. I was like, I don't need to worry if I sort of hit something else. Don't freak out about it. And then obviously there's a point much later down the road, days, if not a week later, where you're like, all those times where I wasn't worried about it, now I get to pay for those. Now I get to fix them. Like as I get closer to somewhat of a sense of completion, now I'm starting to be really careful. I don't want that list of repairs to go up too fast. All right, we're just gonna scooch that in there. Back here, the flex of the arm. His hands on the back side of this. Arm comes out of the cloak there. You are wiggling so much, you little guy. There we go. Once again, get some pretty watered down paint just to get between those knuckles. I want coverage, and it'll cure in if you're patient. I'm not, but it will cure overnight, sort of soak in a bit. Then tomorrow I can find all the additional little white spots that I missed. But it's fun. And with this Bugman's down, my second pass of that Magos purple, I now have a clear spot that purple needs to go up to, which will be good. Paying it forward to the future. All right, right between those wings. Get the tramp stamp. So many little bits. It must be horrifying to watch me paint. There's so many things, like, you get myopic because you're standing so much at one little spot. I'm like, oh man, these poor people. They're subject to, like, watching me grab some entirely wet piece of the model on the other side. Like, don't do it. And the delay between chat and the stream is like pretty long, solid delay. Like watching a car accident every time. My interpretation is that his butt is sticking out, so I'm going to boop, 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 boop. There you go. A little bit of Bugman's there. Get that booty up. I don't know how to get in here. I don't know. All right. Well, there's more of his foot that I got to get. It is a never-ending party of details. There we go. That's pretty good. You got a mug. I'm not going to get up and find a brown for that mug. I'll do that thing metal, I think. It probably should be metal. I don't know. I'll hit it with lead belcher at some point. As I look around, there's not too much to clean up on these guys. There's no chance I'll get to a wash on them tonight because that Bugman's is one of those very plasticky wet paints. What I can do is experiment with the base. See how I feel about dry brushing a couple different colors on this, because I know it's probably not going to last. Yeah, it's just, that is how it goes. Didn't understand Growing Earth before I put it on, and now I do. But I didn't paint the base underneath, didn't prime it. So it's not all sticking. You can see the black through it. At the very least, I would have to varnish it. I don't know that I have to scrape everything off, but it may turn out that way. And I'm willing to cope with that. All right. Make sure there's no extra funny bits on this thing. There we go, that's nice and wet. This is craft board, if you are wondering. Buy big old sheets of this. It's a little expensive, but you buy big old sheets of it and you can do all kinds of stuff with it. I'm eventually just going to build some terrain just out of this stuff. It's like decent, thick white paper stock, foam in the middle, white paper stock. It's maybe like 3 millimeters of foam in the middle. But I've seen some pretty cool stuff where people just build a whole tower out of this. You paint the whole thing down, go nuts. So I do think I'm going to try to, at some point, do some custom terrain. My paper towel test. Is that even enough? I don't even know if there's enough on here to even tell. It might be such a close color that it's a wash, so to speak. Also, makeup brushes. Pretty fun for dry brushing. Oh yeah, I cannot see any of that. That barely shows up. Yeah, I would have to do that way thicker for it to show up at all. In fact, I can do it way thicker. I will do it way thicker. There we go. To have that just really stand out. The color's good. You can see that now. I like the color. That is, what is that again? Xandri dust? Color's nice. Whether or not that stuff even remotely stays is a different story. Yeah, Houston, we got a problem with this stuff. I gotta figure it out. I mean, I could conventionally paint over it. Like, if you like the Xandri dust so much, why don't you just paint over it? The problem is the pieces underneath, these shattered pieces, the ones that don't stick well enough underneath, they're eventually just going to pop off, right? It doesn't solve my problem. Like, I would either need to fuse all of this down with like a liquid pass of something that just like shellacked it in place, or start from scratch. It sounds devastating. It's not devastating. I'm just being dramatic. But the color of the Xandri dust definitely works, and I'm definitely not. This is not dry brushing anymore. I'm literally just brushing it on there. It's brushing. Hmm. And if I get in there enough, I'm going to wreck this brush, but if I get in there enough, I would have to wash it again. But at least the spaces between aren't perfectly black. The perfect blackness of it is a problem. I don't know. I send the thing reeling across my desk. Maybe. I mean, this is definitely going to be one of those things you sleep on. See if I can make that visible to you guys. If I can get in there with enough paint, it'll still have a texture. Maybe it'll stick down. I don't know. I have. What do I have? What did I get? What showed up in the mail? I have sand that I can attach to it. I have, here it is. Go over some bubble wrap. I have several things. I got some dust and dirt. That's pretty cool. Those are all pigments. I got water texture, which in theory, I think just turns solid. So what I could do with the entire base is cover it in water texture because it's cleared, like a thin coat of it with like a totally beat up brush. Maybe that'll just fuse everything together. I think I got something else. What else did I get? I feel like I ordered some. What else is in the basic bin? Yeah. And then I got that. Battlefield's basing set. Maybe I can repair this thing. I could just lay down a bunch of glue and make it grassy. And then the spots where this is nice and close, where it's not big broken up pieces like that, where it's nice and fine, I can leave those a little bit clear. Because those are better stuck. If I stick my finger on there, those aren't going anywhere. These guys are. Just a matter of how many circles I want to go around in. It's a cool model. I can go around in circles plenty of times. I don't think there's much else I can do tonight. I'm gonna just kind of show off where it's at, get this stuff out of the way. But I think next time around, we're looking at base repair as an option. I do like how this Xandri dust looks on there. It's a better color. The wash was never going to get in there and actually darken it up because it was only going to hit the plastic. So, I mean, this is where we're at. You just colored in. This will get some dry brushing on the bottom of the wings. Maybe I'll just hit it with some of this shiny stuff. A couple washes and spots, some dry brushing to bring up some edges. A little bit of cleanup. Bunch of little zits and sores. That can work. Basically, I can finish off the wings with all those swords and things and do this in the same night. That works. All right, let me check what time it is and how painful. It's 10:45. Yep, I'm gonna call it. Thanks for hanging. We basically have the whole thing painted now. Now it's a matter of just figuring out what to do with that base, doing a bunch of tiny, tiny details, and then it'll pretty much be ready for the table. There's another nurgling or two that need to go down here. There's I'm back dry brushing. Yeah. The chains are flimsy. I am so scared to put this on the table with people, but pretty much I need to let this guy dry at this point. And then I'll add some grass to this base. I'll dry brush what I need to around it. Then it'll just be, I'll basically just be fixing screw ups after that. Fix a few of these, like get these zits going. But yeah, who knew? The base was actually going to be the most problematic part. Strange times. Anyway, I'm going to call it a night. Thank you very much. And we'll see you next time. I'm very pleased with where he's at. You just got to finish him off. Oh, there's a little flesh I got to do in there too. Now's the time where I start spinning it around and finding all the parts I'm missing. So hopefully next time we'll be like these close, probably close enough where I'll be willing to play the thing. So thanks a ton. And we'll see you sometime soon. Bye-bye.